my guest in the studio. I'll begin with Sam George this time round. So, Sami Okujeto Ablakwa is the guy to blame for all of this happening, right?
He's the guy to be celebrated. Something. Bright says he didn't have all the documents, and that's fair. But I think that there are some things we don't need documentation on. For example, Article 284 of the Constitution, which talks about conflict of interest. And let me read. A public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with the performance of the function of his office. And then I follow up with Article 78.3, which says, a minister of state shall not hold any other office of profit or emolument, whether private or public, and whether directly or indirectly, unless otherwise permitted by the Speaker, acting on the recommendations of a committee of Parliament on the grounds that A, holding that office will not prejudice the work of a minister, and B, that no conflict of interest arises or would arise as a result of the minister holding that office.
The same thing is repeated in Article 98, Clause 2, for MPs.
For MPs, yes. And so that's why Parliament has a committee on members holding office of profit. It is chaired by the first Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Joseph Osei-Owusu, MP for Bekwai. And even lawyers who still run their chambers submit themselves to that committee to get a certificate to practice their craft whilst holding office. Now, the Honorable Brian Echampo, in his response on another network, has admitted that he has not submitted himself to that committee to get a certificate from the Speaker. One. So he's holding an office for profit other than that of a minister of state and other than that of a member of Parliament without a certificate from Mr. Speaker. You would say, but how do you say he's holding an office of profit? Because he stated that he's a non-executive shareholder. Well,
it's a company, not him. The company has separate legal personality from him.
Absolutely. In fact, that's where I was going. Thanks to the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, who has made a request from the Registrar of Companies Records. There are two directors of the company.
Oh, I thought he himself says he's the only director.
No, there are two. There are two shareholders.
Okay.
In fact, there are two directors. He's the only shareholder, but he and a lady, one Mrs. Clotte, are the directors of the company. Only two directors of Rock City. He is the only shareholder, holds 100% of the shares, and when you go to the beneficial ownership, he is the sole beneficial owner.
He says he's a non-executive director.
It doesn't mean that, but whether you are
non-executive... He says he doesn't take any profits. He doesn't get paid.
No,
he doesn't take any monies from the entity.
Help us here. You are the senior lawyer here. When they say somebody is the beneficial owner of a company,
in this case, it's not beneficial owner.
How?
In this case, he's the owner.
He's the owner and even beneficial owner of it. Now, there are only two directors. And he says he has absolutely no knowledge of this transaction. How is the business run? If his own business is engaged in buying 6 hotels, and he is the sole shareholder, and he has absolutely no knowledge of it, are we safe entrusting 6 hotels into the hands of somebody who runs his own business that way?
Actually, if he's a non-executive director,
yes,
it means he's a controlling mind.
Yes.
So he's directly controlling
what is going on.
Yes.
Again, his own hotel, Rock City Hotel, has been partly operational since 2019. The records again show that since 2019, we have not seen any evidence that Rock City has paid taxes to the government of Ghana. Meanwhile, at least 2 of the hotels that are being offered to him. In 2021, Labadi Beach Hotel paid profit or dividends to SSNIT of 10 million Ghana cedis. In 2022, paid dividends or profit to SSNIT of 25 million. So in 2 years...
150% growth.
Yes. In fact, I can confidently say that in 2022, their profit was... I paid part of their profit because I had an event there. So me too, I paid some money there. Because it was it's a good facility. It's a profitable 5-star hotel. making good profit. Now it's been run down. The other one is the recently renovated Ridge Royal in Cape Coast. Look, and you know, one of the minority shareholders, and again, educate us and correct me if I'm wrong. When you have shareholders, and even though they are minority shareholders, and you are going to, the majority shareholder wants to dispose of his interest, he's under obligation of notifying the minority shareholders of the intention to dispose of his interest and offer them first right of refusal. I know two shareholders in Ridge Royal who only got to find out about this transaction from the news.
So we understand their lawyers wrote to protest.
To protest. Because they were not informed, they were not written. Again, Elmina Beach Resort.
Actually contravenes the Companies Act
in
2019.
Elmina Beach Resort.
If the facts are proving.
Yes. Elmina Beach Resort. The Omanhini of the area, I think that's the
petition they have written.
Yes.
That he...
Stating that they have seen him coming there with his investors on the premises of Elmina, that he's taking it over. Meanwhile, they gave it to the state without requesting full compensation, because the state assured them that this was a state enterprise that will provide jobs for their people. Now it is moving into the hands of a private entity. Without their knowledge, the Oman Henny is demanding that SSNIT...
Full commercial compensation.
That's full commercial compensation. So you ask yourself, on what basis have we packaged 6 hotels? And you see, something, it's not everything. See, on this particular transaction, and I will mention the name of the former Director General, Tinkran. He sat with a certain Ghanaian. And again, I take full responsibility for what I'm saying. Because this Ghanaian has called me and said to me, he's somebody I know very well. He's been in the hotel industry for over 35 years. Manages one of the biggest hotel chains in the US and across the world. He is their manager. He's Ghanaian. Look, he came and sat with Tinkran and said, I have an interest. If you want, we've heard you want to do this thing. We have an interest. And Tinkran told him point blank that, sorry, it's been decided already. You won't get it.
There are those who speculate, speculate that or say that he lost that job because of this particular thing.
It played a role. Because, you see, people had objections to the way things were being done. Again, let's ask ourselves. And you see, this person has said to me, Sam, if Parliament sets up a probe, I will come and testify. And he says, look, you ask yourself in the hotel business, when you have a property that is struggling, you ask yourself 2 things. Is it the model of operation or is it management? Those are the 2 key things you look at in a hotel business. Is the model of operating the hotels problematic, or is the model sound but the management is problematic? And so he said they even came in with a proposal that said, don't sell, we would come and do management of the hotels for you and make them profitable. They said no, because it's been cooked. And you see, it is this whole attempt of state capture. La Palm in 2012, again, in 2011, my sister did a function there. At that time, nobody wanted to go to Labadi Beach because La Palm was the ish. Labadi was literally run down before Legacy Hotels came to take it. La Palm was the place. La Palm has been intentionally run down and devalued by the management that was put in place. Look, you have a group CEO who now steps down to take the role of acting MD.
We understand a consultant did the work about...
the valuations.
Yes.
The consultant who valued it at 700,000 and took 600,000.
I understand it was up to 7 million plus Ghana cedis. It's almost a half the value $1 million US dollars.
Yes.
Yeah. So some assessment was done.
The cost of paying the assessment, the consultant who did the assessment of the properties to be disposed of.
Valuing the property as what, 7 million cedis?
No. That's the consultancy fee. Yes.
But the cost of the consultancy is almost half the value of the assets he says they should dispose. So
that's the reason I'm because if you break it down, you strip the assets down,
yes,
and you pick the real estate itself.
Yes.
What is the value of the real estate? The land on which
it's sitting. So you clearly see even the valuation itself is problematic. But you see, it has to be valued at that rate. And you see, someone said something, and that's the last point I'll make, so that I see your agents coming. Right now, if the reality is that SSNIT wants to dispose of these hotels using high purchase, because that's basically what is going on. High purchase.
What do you mean?
It means they don't have cash.
You don't, the buyer is not paying full value for the properties. He's made a part deposit.
I'm not able to do that.
AI, thank you. He's paid a small deposit.
And
Then he's going to run the assets of the hotels and use the revenue to pay you for what. So if he can run it.
Oh,
and
are you talking like what was that in the ECG thing?
Yes,
yes.
more like the PDS.
More like the
PDS.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same scheme. So Brian has been given the 6 hotels. He's not paid full value for the 6 hotels.
4, not 6.
Four. He's not paid the full value of the 4, of what their valuation is. He's paid, or he's alleged to have paid a part of the amount. He's now supposed to run the hotels, make money from the hotels, and use to pay off the rest of it. If the hotels can be run properly, such that they can pay that value, does that not come back to the question I raised at first?
Can we say Rock City rather than Brian? Because
Rock City equals to Brian.
Because it is when there are circumstances in law. In law, it is when there are circumstances like fraud that you pierce the veil and look for who is behind it.
But it does not appear to be fraudulent.
Yes. So you hold on.